Hello guys, I hope you're all doing well. Today's video we are going to be talking about supplements and more specifically, can't even say that word specifically, the supplements that I'm using during this bulking phase. Now, right this moment I'm actually in the middle of a mini cut, but nothing's really changed and I wouldn't necessarily massively change the supplements that I use during a bulking phase to a cutting phase anyway, so I pretty much use the same things. So I'm just going to talk you through them. I'm not particularly here to say you should use this or you should use that. I'm just telling you what I use and what my thinking is behind it, okay? And bear in mind, I own a gym, I get wholesale prices, so for me these things are a little bit cheaper than they will be for most people, so that is obviously going to influence me to probably use more supplements than most people would. So I'm going to start with the first one. We're going to talk about whey protein, okay? And I've got the, basic, bitch kind of flavour of pumpkin spice latte, which is an interesting flavour, to say the least. It actually tastes alright. For anyone that's not tried this, it tastes a bit like the carrot cake version. I'm convinced Perform probably just get a flavour like carrot cake and then they just put like a different label on it to sell more of it. But it worked and I bought it and it's pretty decent. Would I buy another tub of it? I wouldn't rush to buy another tub of this. I'm more of a basic man. I do like your basic flavours, your vanillas, things like that. Vanillas and things like that, yeah. Strawberry chocolate, like all the basics. I do like all that stuff. But this isn't bad. Okay, so for whey protein, what is the point in having whey protein? Well, first of all, and something to probably like talk about here is the fact that whey protein is no more superior than getting your protein from a chicken breast, for example, right? It is just a convenient source of protein, okay? For most people, do you need to get whey protein? If you're hitting your protein intake already from food alone, then you don't need to. But if you're struggling to hit your protein or you want a convenient source of protein, then whey protein's going to do the trick. So it makes sense. I have this in my oats in the morning, so I'll mix it through the oats and it gives the oats a bit of flavour, okay? So that is one of the main reasons that I use whey protein. If I wasn't having oats as a breakfast and say I was having like eggs and getting my protein from that, then I wouldn't necessarily need it, okay? Whey protein though, let's talk about whey protein because there are different types of protein. You get like casein protein as well, you get blends of protein, and whey protein is a fast acting protein, okay? So if you are just having the protein by itself, it's a fast acting protein. If you're mixing it through oats, it's going to slow down the digestion of that. So whey protein by itself is only really appropriate pre and post workout because the only times you want a kind of fast acting protein. But if you're having it as part of a meal, as I say, that slows down the digestion of it all. If you're wanting a protein shake to have just by itself out with the training window, then you might want a blend of whey and casein as well, okay? So bear that in mind, okay? Moving on to the next supplement, and we have got the GOAT of all supplements, creatine. Creatine. Usually I go for the HR Lab stuff. I'll be honest, just because I like that brand. Nothing against Conte Sports, but anyway, I usually just like the HR Lab stuff. So where do you start with creatine? Because there are so many benefits to the supplement. But for me, obviously, the most important thing is it increases strength, it increases muscle fullness, it promotes muscle growth, it supports your brain function. These are just a few of the benefits of creatine. It is so beneficial in so many different ways. Almost everyone should be using creatine, and the thing is, it's cheap. It's quite affordable. Again, I was selling this at the gym for 400 grams of creatine. I believe this is, yeah, which for most people, it says 80 servings, right? Not all the studies, but most of the studies on creatine have been done at 1 gram per 10 kilos of body weight, okay? So it might say 80 servings, it might not necessarily be that, because for me, I'm taking, I should take 7.5 grams. So I'll take basically a scoop and a half, roughly, okay? So it might not quite be 80 servings, but it's still not far off that. 400 grams of it, it's going to last you a while, 15 quid. Hard to beat, okay? So creatine is one that I would say, due to the price and due to the various benefits that have been proven, it's the most studied sports supplement out there. It's something you're going to want to take. Anyone that wants more power, more strength, and more fullness in their muscles, then it's gonna be a supplement for you. And even for example, there's a lot of studies coming through now, or a couple of studies coming through now, that are talking about the importance of creatine and the benefits of creatine in perimenopausal women and things like that as well. The benefits seem to be endless. You do get creatine through some food sources, but nowhere near the quantities that we're going to get when we're supplemented. So creatine is another one that I would say for most people, they should probably be taken. But again, I'm not here to tell you what to do, I'm telling you what I'm doing. Next up, multivitamins. Okay, I'll be honest, this is the first time I've ever dealt with this brand. Again, I just got off a wholesaler, so like I don't know what I make of this brand. It's made in Poland. I've noticed like a lot of my protein stuff is made in Poland. Don't know if there's a reason for that. That is something worth thinking about. There is a bit of controversy around multivitamins and some of the ways that they were creating the vitamins through like, I believe it's called like coal tar. I can't remember. I looked into it at one point. It is probably best to double check the sources of where your multivitamins are coming from and what they are creating those vitamins from. Again, like using something like a brand like Wellman, for example, that you'll get like in chemists and you get on Amazon and things like that, may be a good option for getting multivitamins, because they most of the time they've been like certified by like independent like kind of groups that double check these sort of things. So that would make sense. But a multivitamin, in a sense, all you want from a multivitamin is something that's got decent amounts of the main vitamins. Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, vitamin C. I don't know why I missed out C there. Some of your B vitamins. That's all you really want from it, okay? You don't need it to do anything special. You don't need to do anything fancy. Just the main guys. And you want to use it as a bit of an insurance policy in case you're missing these nutrients in your diet. Something that can be quite useful to see where you're at with this kind of thing is using the app called Chronometer, right? So a lot of people use MyFitnessPal, or I use MacroFactor, I like it. Chronometer's the same sort of thing, a calorie tracking app, but it's got much more in-depth information about the nutrients that you're taking. So like you could put in a banana and it'll have like 90 nutrients for a banana, right? So if you're unsure on your vitamin and mineral intake, you could track a week's worth of eating into Chronometer, and it will give you the like values of these, the recommended values of these, and where you're at in the scale thing. So if you're worried about like being like undernourished in terms of those kind of things, that's a way to double check, okay? I personally don't like Chronometer for using all the time. It pisses me off because it's like, I don't think it's an easy thing to use. Like MacroFactor is very easy to use if you're eating the same foods every day or similar foods every day. If you're eating the same food every day, you don't need to track your macros, do you? But like if you're eating similar foods every day, you can just like easily enter the same thing again, and it gets to know you. Whereas like Chronometer, it just feels slow. It feels difficult to use, more difficult than it needs to be. So like I would personally only use it for that purpose. And when we're making like meal plans for clients, we have it built into our database and our spreadsheets as well, so we can we use Chronometer as our database, so we've got all that information and we can see exactly where you're at with these things too, so we can notice any missing nutrients in your diet if you're doing like a meal plan, for example. Okay, so that is pretty useful too. I feel like there's something I was going to add to that. I can't remember. There was something I was definitely going to add to that. Oh yeah, so again, obviously, there are side effects of having too much vitamin A or C or whatever. Too much of a good thing is a bad thing too, okay? But apart from maybe iron, for example, there's nothing major, okay? I doubt adding a multivitamin to what you're already doing is going to put many people into a position where it's going to make them shit themselves or have diarrhea or anything like that, or sickness or anything like that. So for most people, a multivitamin is a good way of ensuring that you're just filling in any gaps, okay? But as I say, if you're unsure, double check. If you're unsure about any supplements, speak to someone who is an expert in this stuff, okay? Again, I am not an expert in this stuff, okay? I use these things, I research these things for my own purposes and for my clients, but I'm still not claiming to be any sort of expert in them, okay? So if you're unsure at any point, you know what to do. There's my disclaimer, right? Because if you watch this video and kill yourself with multivitamins, which I doubt it. I'm not ruling it out. I just doubt it. But yeah, I'm not to blame. It's your fault. You're the idiot. Right, let's move on with that. And we'll move on to omega-3s. Because omega-3s, they're something that, again, I know I don't eat enough omega-3s in my diet. I don't really eat any fish or anything like that contains a large amount of omega-3s. Most people are eating things that contain a lot of omega-6s, a lot of processed foods. So you want to try and balance that out a little bit, okay? And using omega-3s will help you do that, okay? And again, there's like creatine, or like all these things, there's various health benefits to using omega-3s as well. I would consider this a health supplement, not like a performance or a bodybuilding supplement by any means. It's not directly going to help you gain any more muscle, but ultimately it's something that's going to help with your health, and it's going to give you longevity. There are some benefits in terms of obviously helping with joint pain and things like that, and inflammation, so that may indirectly help with muscle gain. But yeah, there's no direct benefits like muscle gain. This ultimately is a health supplement. great for your heart. Again, great like for supporting brain function, things like that as well. Okay, and as I say, reducing inflammation. Okay, so really good. The only thing I would say, and again, I've not done it here, but like you get forget what they call it. It's a krill oil, I think you get, where the omega-3 comes from crustaceans rather than, you know, just like I'm assuming normal fish this comes from. But like they say the benefit to that is that, like, you know, because there's lots of shit in the ocean, right? You know, like apparently they dumped Osama bin Laden in the ocean. Apparently, that's for another video. You know, there's like fucking nuclear waste in the ocean, for example, right? And we are taking this omega-3 supplement from the fish that potentially could have been ingesting some of that. So they reckon with crustaceans, there's less chance of ingesting like things that are like bad for you, essentially. I was trying to think of the way to describe it. Again, I don't know how true that is. Maybe someone who is an expert on omega-3 can tell us these things, but it's maybe something worth thinking about when you are considering making your decision with your supplements and what brand you go with and which type you go with. When we move on to vitamin D3, HR Labs. Again, as I say, I just like HR Labs. Something about HR Labs when it comes to vitamin D3. Every other like D3 I've used has been like a tablet, and I can't even get these out. I think I've just dropped a bunch of them. But they're like a soft gel, which is interesting. So yeah, it's a little bit different, a little bit easier to take as well. Now, vitamin D3, when you live in Scotland and it's winter, it becomes a very, very useful supplement because like seasonal affective disorder is a real thing. You know, like winter depression is a real thing, and it's linked to low levels of vitamin D. Now, I can't say I've ever really had those feelings, but I don't want to have them. And again, it's something that is massively, you know, missing from a lot of people's diets. Again, if you're eating a lot of eggs and things like that, you will get a lot of vitamin D in. But again, I would rather make sure there's plenty in there. Again, with fat soluble vitamins, you will essentially build up like storage of them in your body. So like having a little bit too much isn't necessarily going to do any harm. So D3 for me is another one. Lots of links around like kind of mental health for that as well. I'm not sure how like sturdy the studies are, but there's lots of links around about that as well. So again, it may be worth exploring, something worth looking into and doing your own research on and coming to your own decision on. Oof, disclaimer again, I am not getting sued, that's for sure. Right, dream sleep, which this fucking tub of dream sleep, I don't know if you can see that, but so what I do with my supplements, right, here's the best tip out of this that you're going to get. What I do with my supplements is I will take them all out the cupboard in the morning and I'll leave them on the counter, and as I take them I'll put them away, and that reminds me which ones I've taken. Now, dream sleep is not something I'm going to take in the middle of the day, so that will sit there the most of the day. And yeah, Sophie was cooking something on a frying pan. I had it like next to the cooker, and basically it got a little bit hot, is what we'll say. Now, it's not burnt all the way through at least, but yeah, got a little bit hot. Now, dream sleep. This is something that I rate a lot. I've not tried a lot of like these kind of sleeper relaxation supplements. This is one of the only ones I've tried, so I will like caveat it by saying that like this is one of the only ones I've ever had to try because I feel like this works very well. Now this contains a lot of different ingredients, which basically, to sum it all up, promote relaxation and promote the calming effect, which in turn is going to help you get some better quality sleep. Okay, so this is something that, like, you know, I don't notice a difference in the multivitamins. I don't notice a difference with the omega-3 or the D3. I'm taking them blindly and hoping for the best, right? That's a reality, because I'm thinking, right, I'm just ticking these boxes. Hopefully it's doing me some good. Maybe if I came off them, I would notice a difference. But with Dream Sleep, I've kind of cycled on and off this. I've used it for like a couple of months at a time, took a month off it, came back to it, and I do feel it's more effective when you do that. I feel like if I'm taking it all the time, it becomes less effective, but it is a supplement where I genuinely feel a massive difference in terms of how I sleep and then how I feel the next day. So I rate this a lot. Something worth noting with this as well is, like, again, we've got a lot of ingredients in there that are going to promote relaxation, and I usually train later in the evening, and I'll usually have caffeine later in the evening, right? Which you're probably thinking, Connor, sort out your habits first before you start supplementing. Come on, man. But like when I'm doing that, like, so say I'm having, like, you know, 200 milligrams of caffeine or something at like 6 o'clock, training in a kind of hyped up state, and then I'm going home after that, and you know, I'm popping a couple of these before going to bed. It's helping bring me back down, you know. So I think it's more beneficial for me training in the evening than someone who maybe trains during the day, okay, because you might have like quite a relaxing routine in the evening anyway. But with sleep, it all does come back to habits. And if you're staying up looking at Instagram Reels or fucking TikTok or whatever, and you're not actually going to bed at a decent time, well, maybe start by doing that first before buying a supplement, okay? So and maybe start by not looking at your phone late at night and reading a book instead, you know? You could start with that. Maybe start with getting some sunlight during the day as well. That's also a big precursor in terms of producing melatonin as well, as actually getting sunlight during the day. So try all the basic stuff first, but this is good. So that's that, okay? Something else as well, if you are taking any like antidepressants, any SSRIs, this contains an ingredient called 5-HTP, which increases serotonin, and if you are taking both at the same time, it may lead to too much serotonin, which means serotonin syndrome, or could mean serotonin syndrome, which could just be something as simple as giving you diarrhea and spew it back up, but it can also kill people. I've never heard of anyone dying of it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't kill people, okay? So do not take this if you're on any sort of antidepressants that are SSRIs, okay? Make that clear. Again, another fucking disclaimer here. One other thing that I've taken that I've not actually got with me is a recovery shake. I use a CMP recovery shake, okay? And what this is I'll put it on the screen so you can see it. It's a fast-acting protein and carbohydrate drink that I take immediately post-workout. Now, this is a little bit of bro science, I'm not going to lie, okay? It's just like when you train, you're depleting muscle glycogen, and this is helping the glycogen get back in there as soon as possible and helping kickstart the recovery process and the muscle building process. And when you're training intensely, I believe this is a good thing to take. I've taken it basically the entire time that I've trained, so the last 15 years, maybe not 15, the last 10 years since I've been like kind of bodybuilding, that got introduced to me before, and I've never really stopped using it. So when people ask me, is it effective? Do you notice the difference? I'm like, well, no, because I've never not taken it, if that makes sense. So again, it makes sense to me. If you're depleting glycogen, you want to refill those stores as quickly as possible and, you know, kickstart both recovery and the muscle building process, as I say. So it makes sense to me, okay? But there may be some nerds out there that come back and they're like, oh, you know, actually the science shows that the post workout anabolic window doesn't exist. Shut up. Nah, in reality, like, again, look, it's something that works for me, something that I enjoy doing. They taste amazing. So I enjoy doing it. Fucking hell, that's a weird way to talk about a supplement. But like, it's something that has worked for me historically. I don't count them in my calorie intake, even though there's like 300 calories in them. So on a training day, sorry, I will have 300 extra calories from that, okay, which I don't talk about, okay. So I am having those extra calories on that day. But for me, it's always worked well. And I'll be honest, the one time I didn't have recovery shakes, I mind one time when I was in Ireland. This is one time in the last 10 years, which is, yeah, sad in a way. But I was training when I was in Ireland, and I trained one day and I trained the next day, and I didn't have recovery in between. I ate food as normal, but I didn't feel like my strength kept up, and I think that was to do with the fact that I didn't have the recovery shake. So there you go. But another caveat to that would be, well, if I just ate an extra 300 calories anyway from like food, would it have done the same thing? Probably. So, you know, is what it is. It could just be the calories, or it could be the power of the post-anabolic window. Who knows? Post-workout anabolic window, sorry. Who knows? Okay, let's move on. I'm going to find that wee D3, because that's annoying me, the one that I dropped there. Can't see it in the carpet. I've been thinking about that the whole time while I was talking there, so I don't know where it's went now. My dog's going to end up eating that. Don't think it'll do any harm anyway. Dogs need fat soluble vitamins too. Right, electrolytes. So, HR Labs water. This is a great supplement. It's obviously full of electrolytes and full of like basically B vitamins, things like that are going to help with energy production. With electrolytes, or you know, any sort of like hydration formulas, like if you're someone who doesn't do a lot of activity, you're probably not going to need this. Like, this is for the active person. I feel like it's very in at the minute. I think Hyrox people are really like kind of bringing this to light, bringing it to the forefront. Everyone's taking an electrolyte supplement nowadays. Again, if you are not, if it's replenishing key electrolytes, right, and you are not depleting those key electrolytes, same with the recovery shake, by the way, if you're not training hard enough, there's no fucking point. Let's just put that out there. But like with the electrolytes, if you're not like again if you're not using those electrolytes to replenish, if you're not reducing them by training hard and doing a lot of activity, you probably don't need it. Okay, I use these more so when I'm actually doing cardio based workouts, when I've been like playing like 7-a-side football, for example, or when I've been doing like, I've not done it for a while, but doing like Monroes and things like that, doing multiple Monroes in one day, like that sort of thing. Like, you know, that's more when I would use these electrolyte supplements. Although I had been in the way of just using them in the morning for a while as well, just like, again, as a hydration formula. Again, there's no harm in doing it, don't get me wrong, but like, I don't feel like it's a must-have supplement. Okay, it's just something, again, owning the gym, having access to wholesale prices is something that I can get at a better price, so I'm gonna take advantage of it, of course. Pro tip: if you're hungover, get some electrolytes in you. Get some electrolytes in you. Okay, that's that's maybe what they're good for, keeping them in the cupboard. Right, let's move on, and we'll talk. I think this is the final one. Yeah, it is. We'll talk about greens powder. Okay. Now, I've actually had this bag for a while. I don't use it that often, but if I feel like I've not been consuming enough greens or veggies in my diet, then this is when this comes in. Okay. So this is for the lazy person, or the person that doesn't like veggies, the person that like wants to get all the benefits of eating veggies, but either can't be arsed preparing them or doesn't like eating them. Okay, so this is an easy alternative. Now, do these taste good? No, they taste exactly what you'd imagine them to taste like. If we take a wee sniff of that, one day, you know, in the future, you'll be able to like put a smell through like a YouTube video. God, that's awful. But I put it in with diluting juice when I'm doing it as well, so like that like masks some of the flavour. It doesn't completely mask it, but it masks some of the flavour. So these are Udo's choice. These ones, Udo's also do like a omega free oil as well, or a blend of omega's oil. Their supplements again are very, very good, very, very healthy. So again, another brand I would highly recommend along with the rest. But again, if you're someone that doesn't eat a lot of veggies and you know, you want an easy way of getting your veggie intake in, or greens intake in, that's the way to do it. Okay, I'm looking at this just like to read out some of the ingredients. Fermented grass powder, which barley, oats, and then alfalfa. Jesus Christ. Lactobacillus plantarum. Fucking hell, there's some big names in here. But yeah, basically a vitalising blend of dried organic fermented barley, oat, wheat, and alfalfa grasses combined with algae and carefully selected spices, vegetables, and seeds, rich in naturally occurring vitamin B12 and iodine, and high in fibre and protein. I don't think it's high in protein, but anyway, that's another story. Iodine contributes to skin health, vitamin B12 contributes to the immune system support, gluten-free, organic, and vegan. There you go, ticks all the woke boxes as well. So that is basically every supplement I take, apart from testosterone. I forgot to mention it. I'll just go get that out of the fridge now. No, of course. Natty for life, my friend. Natty for life. When you look at testosterone, though, right? Increased muscle mass, improved energy, improved libido, better moods. Fuck it. Yeah, let's get on it. Like, of course, natty for life, as I say. Like, I always get posed the question, you know, would you take steroids? And don't get me wrong, so curious. I would love to know what would happen if I did take it. But the first thing I would say about it is that I don't understand it enough. And I think you near enough need to be a fucking doctor to understand it. So am I going to muck about with things like that are potentially dangerous that I don't understand? Am I going to muck about with my endocrine system when I don't really understand how it all works? No. Absolutely not. Am I going to trust some bodybuilder online to coach me and tell me how to use these like fucking exogenous hormones? No, absolutely fucking not. I think that's mental. I think it's mental the amount of coaches out there, we're getting into a rant here, that are giving their clients advice on this kind of stuff, and they're not qualified. They've just tried it. They've just tried it, and again, experience is definitely counts for something. But I think, man, you're getting into some serious shit. If you don't understand the endocrine system, you don't understand hormones, and it is some complicated stuff. Believe me, I've done some reading on it. I've done some research into it, and I am proud to say, not proud to say, but like I'm willing to say I do not understand it. It's fucking confusing. Okay, so you know. If you're someone who's thinking about hiring a coach to do your cycle for you, don't know. I would think twice. I think for the average person, like who isn't going to be Mr. Olympia, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. If you're going to get something out of it, look at like C-Bum, for example. He's coming off steroids now. He obviously made millions of dollars out of it, and he'll go down in history as like one of the best, if not the best, classic physique guy ever, right? So, like, for him, yes, it's worth it. And now he's concentrating on his health. He's coming off it, and he's looking to give himself some longevity. Look at Dorian Yates, like he's all about that fucking longevity now as well. Like, you know, it's like my dad says. My dad's getting another shout out on YouTube. There you go. You know, spend the first half of your life killing yourself, and the second half of your life saving yourself. Well, let's just not send it. Oh fucking hell, can't you say it? Let's just not spend the first half of your life killing yourself. Let's just try that, eh? So yeah, for me, it's a no go. I don't understand it. I don't think the risks are worth it. I'm too much of a shite bag, whatever you want to call me. I don't care. I'm not doing it, okay? Already big enough, mate. Nah, definitely not. Anyway, right, that wraps up the video. If you've any questions on that, go ask ChatGPT and they'll give you the answer. Nah, if you've any questions on any of that, drop me a message or leave me a comment.